One of the biggest complaints I hear from people when they have an energy drink, a pre-workout, or some caffeine is that they get the jitters. And then I ask them the question, well, what type of caffeine is it? Most people don't know, but the usual culprit is caffeine anhydrous. And here's why. In over a decade of helping thousands of people add simple supplementation into their daily routines, and after over a decade of drinking thousands of milligrams of caffeine, I know a thing or two about how caffeine affects the body. Now, don't get me wrong, most people will agree that caffeine is great, and the benefits are great too. It supports weight loss, increased alertness, sharper cognition, more energy, and better performance. All great things, but there are some problems that come with caffeine when it's overconsumed. The side effects of overconsumption can be constipation, insomnia, headaches, high blood pressure, and the shakes or jitters. Not great things. And for the purposes of this video, I want to focus in on that last one, the jitters. I've talked to so many people over the years that aren't necessarily overconsuming the amount of caffeine that they have, but are still getting the crazy jitters when they have any. So let's address why that might be. First thing you need to know is that there's two different types of caffeine. There's natural caffeine from things like coffee and green tea and even chocolate. And then there's synthetic caffeine that's completely made from scratch with chemicals in a lab. And that's where things start to get a little shaky. See what I did there? The synthetic is called caffeine anhydrous, which is a fancy way of saying dehydrated caffeine. And we'll get into why anhydrous is the culprit in just a second, but on a side note, I looked up how anhydrous is actually made, and it was an eye-opener to say the least. Look it up. But to sum it up, it's chemicals that are mixed together to make a blue powder that are then cleaned by another chemical to make a generic white caffeine powder. Sounded pretty crazy when I read it. And it's used in virtually every type of drink or supplement that you can think of, with the majority of it being produced in China. But anyway, the reason that caffeine anhydrous is the main culprit is because of that synthetic process and it being designed to be more potent and hit you harder. And then after it all comes rushing in, it all goes rushing out, which creates that awesome crash that everybody talks about from caffeine. And then those feelings make people believe that they're just super sensitive to caffeine. But that might not be the case. If you're getting the jitters from a small to moderate dose of caffeine, then it might be due to the fact that it's a synthetic caffeine, and you might not suffer the same effects from a natural caffeine like green tea extract. Natural caffeine sources won't hit your body as hard because they have a more gradual effect. So you'll get a more gradual increase and a more gradual decrease that hopefully eliminates the jitters and eliminates the crash. But either way, the caffeine will still support the positive things that I talked about at the beginning of this video. So before you drink that next energy drink or pre-workout, take a look at the label to see what kind of caffeine it is. If it's caffeine anhydrous or if it's a natural caffeine source. Pro tip on that, if it's a natural caffeine source, it'll probably say so. If it doesn't have anything around the caffeine, odds are it's probably caffeine anhydrous. And then you can assess your needs and tolerances from there to find out if the product is a good fit to help you perform better, recover faster, and live healthier. I'll see you in the next video.